Discover how a black mechanic's incredible act of kindness transforms lives after he gets fired. Malik Johnson was the heart of Detroit's old neighborhood, a humble mechanic with grease-stained hands and a smile that could light up the darkest days. The garage, filled with the comforting hum of engines and the tang of oil, wasn't just where he fixed cars. It was a sanctuary where kids played, neighbors mingled, and laughter echoed like an anthem of resilience. Malik always believed in lifting others up. It was something his family taught him. That all changed in an instant, though. Accused of damaging a wealthy customer's car, Malik was fired. He stood outside the garage that day, disbelief in his heart, wondering how he would tell his two young children that their father was out of work. His wife, Lena, looked at him with eyes weighed down by worry. The air was thick with unspoken fears. Could he still provide for them? He felt like he was crumbling, the weight of injustice crushing him. Days turned into weeks, and desperation gnawed at him like an uninvited guest. But instead of succumbing to despair, Malik found a flicker of purpose. He decided to offer free repairs to veterans in the community, men who had fought for their country but were now struggling. As he proudly fixed up rusty cars, he felt buoyed by a sense of profound connection. Each smile he earned from the veterans reminded him of why he loved working with his hands. One soldier, Mr. Lewis, left with tears in his eyes, insisting that Malik's kindness had brought him back to life. "Malik, you're a hero." Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor, exclaimed as she watched her grandson learn to help out in the garage. It was moments like this that ignited hope in others and created bonds where only silence once stood. No longer just a mechanic, Malik was a beacon, pulling together a community that had lost its spark. They gathered around, fixing not just engines but their own hearts as they poured out stories of struggles, family, and hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but just as the warmth of this newfound respect washed over him, Malik's former boss, asserting his power, spread malicious rumors to discredit Malik and ruin the reputation he painstakingly built. Tensions filled the air like thick smoke. Malik now faced hostility from some neighbors who believed the lies. He was pushed to confront the truth about himself and the biases that still lingered. In a moment of vulnerability, he rallied the community to share their stories, their truths, and their support. They packed the streets, marching side by side, raising their voices for justice and understanding. The sight of so many gathered brought tears to Malik's eyes. He felt dignity flow through him, igniting a fire he thought had been extinguished. And just when hope seemed within reach, a local ceremony planned to honor him emerged, making waves through the community. Malik stood on the cusp of reclaiming his narrative, ready to show the world the man behind the wrench. Would this moment heal the rift within his family or give him the strength to face the prejudice that sought to undermine him? A critical choice lay ahead, and the weight of the community's expectations pressed down on him. The day of the ceremony arrived, and the sun hung high in the cerulean sky, casting a warm glow over the streets of the neighborhood. Malik felt it pulse with an energy that both thrilled and terrified him. He stood behind the garage, eyes focused on the crowd gathering in the park across the street. Families chatted, children played, and the laughter blended with the noise of distant engines, a comforting reminder of the life he had shared for years. That he turned to Lena, her face radiating pride but shadowed with concern. "What if they don't believe me? What if the rumors drown out everything I've done?" His voice trembled slightly, betraying his resolve. "Malik, you've done so much for this community. They know who you are," Lena replied, her hand resting gently on his arm. "They came because they believe in you." Malik's heart raced as he stepped out of the shadows. Every step toward the park felt like walking on a tightrope, balancing his fears and hopes. As he approached, He saw familiar faces among the crowd, neighbors he had known since childhood, veterans whose engines he had restored, and children whom he had taught how to turn a wrench. They all looked at him with gratitude, respect, and love. When Malik reached the stage, he took a moment to breathe. He could feel the weight of their expectation, pressing down like a heavy coat. The microphone felt cool against his lips. "Thank you all for being here," he began, struggling to keep his voice steady. "I never thought I would be the one standing here, not like this." A mixture of cheers and encouragement washed over him. His pulse quickened as he continued, "I lost my job, but what I found was something far more important, the realization that we are stronger together." The crowd erupted with cheers. It was as if their collective spirit enveloped him, feeding his courage. He shared stories of the veteran's car he had fixed, the gleeful children helping in the garage, and the kindness that had traveled through each repair, each smile exchanged. The audience listened intently, nodding along as he painted vivid pictures from his experiences. He recalled Mr. Lewis, how a simple gesture of fixing a car turned into a lifeline for a man who thought he lost everything. As Malik spoke, he could see some faces among the crowd shift. Doubt began to fade as stories of hope replaced them. For every person who had believed the rumors, there were now many more who held confidence in Malik's goodness. But just as momentum surged, the sound of a car engine roared in the distance. Malik turned, and the crowd hushed, eyes drawn to a sleek vehicle rolling toward the gathering. It belonged to his former boss, who orchestrated the whispers that threatened his reputation. Malik's heartbeat quickened, tension thickening the air. Would this man try to crush the hope Malik had just begun to cultivate? The car came to a halt, and the man stepped out, a smirk planted on his face. Malik's heart sank. What did he want now? Did he come to stir up trouble, or could this moment be one of resolution? Malik's head spun. The warmth that had filled his heart now battled with the chilling fear of confrontation. But he felt the community's support behind him, solid and unwavering. With the gaze of the crowd boring into him, Malik understood one vital truth: this was the moment. Would he stand tall in defense of himself and those who believed in him, or let fear dictate the outcome? The choice was his, but the stakes had never been higher. The smirk on Malik's former boss, Greg, was infuriating. He stepped forward, arms crossed, oozing confidence. The crowd fell silent, eyes darting between Malik and Greg, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Malik clenched his fists, feeling a mix of dread and an ember of determination bubbling within him. "Malik!" Greg called, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. What an unexpected turn of events. "I heard you were giving a little speech today." He gestured with exaggerated flair, the sunlight glinting off his watch. "What are you going to say?" "About how you failed to meet standards. I had customers calling me this morning saying they were disgusted. You destroyed their trust." Hisses echoed through the crowd. Malik could feel the anger swirling, but he didn't want to let it rule him. He took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "That's not true, Greg. People are here because they want to build a better community. They are here to support one another." A ripple of agreement ran through the throng. Faces he'd known since childhood, neighbors he'd helped, nodded with encouragement. He glanced at Lena, her eyes glimmered with pride and reassurance, fueling his courage. "Your time's up, Greg. You had your chance, and instead of lifting people up, you chose to tear them down," Malik said, his voice steadier, bolstered by the roar of support behind him. He was finding strength, fiercely protecting the community he loved. Greg's expression darkened, eyes narrowing. "And what about the car you wrecked? You really think people will forget that? One mistake can ruin a reputation, you know." Malik opened his mouth, but the murmurs from the crowd drowned out his thoughts. One mistake. The word stung. In that moment, he could feel the raw weight of the past pressing against him, the doubts creeping back, clawing at his confidence. But then he recalled the faces of the children in the workshop, the veterans who had shared their stories, their laughter filling the garage, how he had turned the grease-stained chaos into a haven of hope. I will not be defined by one moment, he said loudly, a fire igniting within him. My life is not a single failure, it's about the people I've helped and the lives I've touched. Cheers erupted again, loud and defiant. Malik could feel the warmth wrapping around him like a protective cocoon. He straightened his spine, grounding himself in the power of the collective energy. Greg rolled his eyes, now visibly fuming. Keep pretending all you want, Malik. People don't want to hear this fairy tale. They want results, and you can't deliver. Tension crackled in the air, and Malik felt it in his bones. Was Greg right? Could he truly prove the immense value he had brought to this community? Yet the community stood behind him. They were his strength. Looking into the crowd, he saw friendly faces glowing with belief. I may have stumbled, but I will rise again. Together, we can build trust, not through failures but through rebuilding, he declared, passion igniting his voice. I won't stand alone through this. You all lift me, just as I have tried to lift each of you. The sound of applause was thunderous, shaking the ground beneath his feet. Malik's heart soared. But before he could bask in the moment, Greg took a small step back, his expression shifting from rage to a calculating smirk. Is that what you really believe? He taunted, his tone low. We'll see how long that lasts. Malik's stomach dropped. What could he mean? And just like that, the moment was twisted again. With a final glance from Greg, he backed away, slipping back into the vehicle. The engine roared to life, drowning out the cheers, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. As the car sped away, Malik's heart pounded. The words buzzing in his mind. What proposal lay waiting in the shadows now? Did Greg truly have more to unveil? The community had rallied, but the battle was far from over. Malik felt the grip of uncertainty. Would they be able to move forward as one, or would the past come crashing back to haunt them? What awaited him next? Malik stood there, heart racing, the silence pressing against him like a heavy weight. The cheers had faded into the distance, replaced by an unsettling emptiness. His hands trembled, but he forced himself to inhale deeply. The community was here, his allies rallying around him, yet doubts clawed at the edges of his mind. Are you okay? Lena's voice cut through the fog, firm and concerned. He nodded, but the tightness in his throat betrayed him. His voice wavered, overwhelmed by the moment. I don't know what Greg's planning. She stepped closer, her presence calming. You spoke from your heart, she reminded him. The people believe in you, Malik. Belief isn't always enough, he murmured, glancing at the retreating tail lights of Greg's car. What if he has something up his sleeve? Then we face it together, she replied. Her eyes shone with determination. Don't lose sight of what you've built here. The crowd, murmuring amongst themselves, began to shift. Malik sought out familiar faces, friends who had come to show support. They were talking, worry etched on their brows. Did they feel the same uncertainty churning within him? Suddenly, a voice pulled him back. Hey, Malik. A neighbor named Carlos stepped forward, his brow furrowed in concern. What was that about, man? Is Greg really going to come after you? I don't know, Malik admitted. But I won't let him destroy what we've built. We've made this place a safe haven. He can't take that away from us without a fight. The crowd began to nod again, an electric buzz of solidarity sparking to life. Right. Lena shouted, raising her fist in the air. We're not backing down. We've got Malik's back. Together. Echoed a few voices, as if they were finding their rhythm. As they banded together, Malik felt warmth seep back into his heart. Maybe Greg could leverage their fears, but what happened that day had ignited a fire within this community that no one could extinguish easily. Amidst the growing camaraderie, Malik couldn't shake the gnawing insecurity. He took a step forward, catching the attention of the crowd again. I appreciate your support, all of you. But it's not just about me. It's about the trust we've built together. The crowd quieted, listening intently. Trust takes time. It's fragile. Greg can try to shatter it, but we know what we've created and we know how to protect it. A wave of murmurs rippled through them. Malik's pulse quickened. He could feel the collective strength rising, fueling him. Just as he was starting to feel invincible, Greg's figure reappeared on the horizon, looming in dark against the evening sun. Malik's stomach dropped once more, anticipation mingling with fear. "It's not over," Greg shouted from a distance, a sinister grin plastered across his face. "Not by a long shot. You'll regret thinking you could just undo my work in this town." Lena's voice quivered as she whispered, "What if he turns the community against you?" An icy chill ran through Malik. He didn't want to imagine that. A piercing reminder of the fragility of their unity hit him hard. "Don't listen to him," he yelled back, trying to inject confidence into his voice. "We stand as one, and together, we're unbreakable." But as he turned to face the crowd, their expressions were laced with worry. Could they truly withstand whatever Greg was planning next? Malik was acutely aware of the stakes now. He couldn't afford to falter. Everything depended on what came next. But could he find a way to protect his community while preparing for the battle ahead? With the sun setting behind him, casting long shadows, Malik felt a familiar resolve returning. He was ready to face whatever Greg had in store. There was too much at risk. Yet, a chilling thought lingered: what would Greg's next move be? Tomorrow loomed ominously, holding unknown challenges. Malik had to confront the truth: the fight was just beginning. But what could he do to ensure everyone remained united against the storm? The night deepened, thick with tension. Malik could feel the lingering weight of Greg's threat hanging in the air. Even as the last rays of sunlight disappeared, the fear didn't fade. Instead, it wrapped around him, tightening his chest with every heartbeat. Lena squeezed his arm, her grip a steady presence. "We need to strategize. We can't let fear dictate our next steps," she said, scanning the crowd that had begun to disperse. Some individuals still lingered, whispering to one another, uncertainty glimmering in their eyes. "What's our plan?" Malik asked, urgency creeping into his voice. "Let us gather everyone in the community center. We need to talk openly. The last thing we want is for Greg to spread rumors or create divisions," Lena replied, her voice firm and resolute. Malik felt a flicker of hope. This wasn't just his battle, it was everyone's. He nodded, heart racing at the thought of leading them through this storm. "Let us spread the word. We can't let Greg win by default," he said, pushing aside his fears. He turned to Carlos, who was still standing nearby, eyes questioning. "Carlos, can you help get everyone here quickly?" "Of course, man. I'll text everyone right now," he replied, pulling out his phone with newfound determination. As the group began to rally, Malik glanced around. The faces around him were filled with disbelief and concern, but he could see resilience peeking through the cracks. With every nod and supportive smile, he felt the pulse of unity growing stronger. Within the hour, they had congregated in the community center, its walls echoing with stories of triumph and struggle. The atmosphere was charged with the kind of energy that only comes when a community rallies at the brink of an uncertainty. "Thanks for coming, everyone," Malik began, standing at the front, palms sweating as he looked out at their worried but eager faces. "I know Greg's words are weighing heavy on us right now. But we can't allow him to dictate our future. We've fought too hard for this place." Murmurs of agreement filled the air. "We're with you," someone called out, and the room lit up with voices echoing his sentiments. "I believe in each one of you. Together, we can face whatever Greg tries to throw at us." Malik's voice grew steadier. "But we need a plan. Fear can divide us, and we can't let that happen." He opened the floor for ideas. People spoke up, sharing stories and insights, all the while weaving a tapestry of possibilities that glimmered with hope. As they began to strategize, Malik could feel the bonds of strength tightening around them like a shield, but in the midst of their hopeful chatter, something crept into Malik's thoughts. Greg had always been cunning. If he managed to manipulate them, he could easily dismantle the unity they were so desperately trying to build. As discussions flowed, a sudden knock at the door jarred everyone into silence. Malik exchanged worried glances with Lena. Who would be visiting at this hour? Carlos went to open it, and as he swung the door open, Malik's heart sank. Greg stood there, flanked by a couple of their old neighbors. His smirk deepened as he stepped inside, surveying the room with an air of confidence. Looks like I caught the community in a little huddle, Greg called out, feigning innocence. The tension in the room rose sharply, an electric current of fear and anger intermingling. What now? Malik thought, clenched fists at his sides as he fought to mask his rising dread. His community had found their voice, but now they faced their greatest test yet. What do you think he's really up to? Lena whispered, her eyes darting toward Malik, anxiety crackling in the space between them. In that moment, Malik realized this was not only about showing strength, they had to dig deeper to understand Greg's motives. Was he truly prepared for the lengths Greg was willing to go to? The confrontation was only just beginning, and Malik couldn't shake the feeling that what lay ahead would challenge everything they stood for. What was Greg planning to do now? Malik's mind raced. The moment Greg entered, the air thickened. He could almost taste the tension. He instinctively took a step forward, a barrier between Greg and the anxious crowd behind him. What do you want, Greg? Malik asked, forcing his voice to remain steady despite the turmoil inside. Greg chuckled, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Oh, I just came by to see how the community was handling my little proclamation. He waved a dismissive hand. You know, the one about how this place is going down without me. Malik felt a ire rise within him. You're wrong, Greg. We're far stronger than you think. A few members of the community shifted uneasily. Malik could sense their fear bubbling, threatening to surface again. He took a deep breath. If you're here to provoke us, it won't work. We're not going to let you tear us apart. Greg stepped closer, his smirk widening. Oh, but that's the thing, Malik. I don't need to tear you apart. All it takes is a little whisper here, a little doubt there. He glanced around the room, feigning concern. People have a tendency to listen to the loudest voice, you know. Or perhaps the one they fear the most. Malik clenched his fists tighter, his nails digging into his palms. You won't get away with this, he said, his voice rising. We've fought for too long to let you snatch it away from us. We'll see about that, Greg replied, his tone smooth as silk. He adjusted his stance, addressing the crowd. Anyone here want to admit they're actually afraid? It's okay, really. A little honesty can go a long way. A murmur rippled through the group, but Malik could see Lena shaking her head, grounding herself in the skepticism around them. He caught her eye, and she nodded in encouragement. Malik knew they had to confront Greg, but not in the way he expected. Fear doesn't build communities, Greg, Malik replied, voice firm, more than he felt inside. It shatters them. We're fighting for something bigger than that. We're fighting for each other. Laughter erupted from Greg, a cruel sound that reverberated through the walls. How quaint. You really think you can win this? Tell me, how many of you are willing to stand up when things get tough? Those who run away when threatened aren't warriors, they're cowards. Malik felt the anger simmering inside him but quickly saw flashes of tension on the people's faces. Greg's words were poison, but they cut too deep. He had to show them a better way, a way filled with unity, not fear. You want honesty? Fine. I'm not afraid, Greg. None of us are. That's why we're here. Malik's heart raced as he spoke, emboldened by Lena's unwavering support. If you think you can scare us into separation, you're dead wrong. We're stronger together, and that's the truth no lie can shatter. Silence fell heavily in the room. Greg's expression shifted, surprise flickering momentarily. Malik sought out the eyes of his neighbors, searching for bravery. Then a voice cut through the tension. "Yes, right." It was an older woman from the back. "We've lost so much already. There's nothing left for us to fear. Together, we can take anything he throws at us." The ripple of agreement surged, and calls of support flooded the space. "We will stand strong." Another voice chimed. Greg's smirk faltered, replaced by a flash of irritation. "A few cheers won't change anything," he retorted, fists tightening. "But I'll be back, and when I return, you'll wish you had listened." Malik watched as Greg retreated, the door swinging shut behind him with a dull thud. The room erupted in voices, some cheering, some still shaken. Malik felt the weight lift, but doubts lingered. Did we really stand up for ourselves? A young voice questioned amongst the chatter. Malik turned to Lena, who walked to his side, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "We did something important today. But this isn't over." "Not yet." The resolve bound them together, a flicker of hope igniting amidst the doubts. Malik understood Greg was still a threat, but perhaps he had sown the seeds of true unity among them. As they began to regroup, strategizing their next steps. Against the storm that was sure to come, Malik couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What else was Greg planning? What other lies would he weave? The true battle was still ahead, and Malik knew all too well that their unity might be tested again. Were they really ready to face whatever lay ahead? But deep inside, Malik felt something stirring, a confidence he hadn't known before. It was time to prepare for whatever Greg might do next. What was his final scheme, and how far was he willing to go to tear apart the community they had built? The room pulsed with energy, buzzing with voices as Malik stood at the center of it all. He could feel the aftershocks of Greg's visit, a visceral reminder of the battle they faced on two fronts, one against an old antagonist, the other against the creeping fear that threatened to dismantle everything they built. "Let us not just talk," Malik said, raising his voice to cut through the din. "We need to come up with a plan, something solid to counter whatever Greg is scheming." Lena stepped beside him, her presence a calming force. She leaned in, her voice low. "Malik, whatever he is planning, it won't be good. We have to anticipate his moves." "What are you thinking?" Malik took a moment to gather his thoughts. "We need to remind everyone here why we stand together. We need to make them see that Greg's words are nothing but smoke and mirrors." People gathered closer, eyes wide with anticipation. The older woman who had spoken out before raised her hand. "What about organizing a community meeting? A chance to talk about our experiences, our strength, to really show we're not avoiding any fight?" Malik nodded vigorously, feeling the fire ignite in his gut. "Yes. A gathering where everyone can voice their concerns. We'll remind ourselves of our strength and unity. But we'll also gather evidence of Greg's past actions. Document what he has done so we can counter his lies when he tries to tear us down again." Lena smiled, a renewed spark in her eyes. "And we can create a campaign, something positive. Share our stories, our victories, the strength we find in each other. Let us showcase what community truly means. Let us make banners, flyers," another voice chimed in. "We can plaster the message everywhere. Stronger together could be our rallying cry." Malik felt a drumbeat of hope surge within him. They were bouncing ideas off one another, brainstorming like a team should. It was the spirit of community they needed to protect, to showcase. "We'll need to push past the doubt, all the fears Greg tries to plant in our minds," Malik said, fueled by the energy in the room. "We need to let courage flow through our veins. We'll show him that we're a family, and family doesn't waver under pressure." The excitement rippled through the crowd, turning tentative hope into something tangible. They exchanged excited whispers, rallying as a united front. Just then, as if fate had its own agenda, the door creaked open. Malik turned, heart racing. Expecting Greg, he was surprised to see one of their own members, Rachel, standing there, her face pale and panicked. "Malik. You need to see this," she breathed, breathless with urgency. It's about Greg. We've got to go, now." Malik's pulse quickened. What fresh chaos had Greg wrought this time? He exchanged quick glances with Lena and the others gathered, uncertainty threading through the tangible energy. "What did he do?" Lena urged, stepping closer. "Just come." Rachel insisted, her eyes wild. "We can't wait." Malik hesitated for just a moment, then nodded, determination solidifying in his chest. He waved at the group to stay back, opting instead to follow Rachel, who was already turning. "Let us find out what he's up to and then we'll show him just how wrong he is." As they stepped out toward the unknown, Malik felt a tremor of fear mixed with fierce resolve. Was Greg's final scheme already set in motion? The unanswered questions hung palpable in the air. What had Greg orchestrated this time that could threaten their newfound unity? Malik followed Rachel down the dimly lit corridor, the urgent whispers of their peers fading behind them. Each step felt heavier, pulling him deeper into a chasm of uncertainty. What had Greg done now? The thought churned in his stomach like a brick. They reached an empty garage door, the faint sound of voices filtering through. Malik turned to Rachel. "What is going on? What has he planned?" Rachel ran a hand through her hair, her eyes wide with fear and frustration. "He's spreading rumors about us saying we're a group of misfits. He's trying to turn the community against us, painting us as troublemakers." A flame of anger ignited within Malik. "We want to let him do that. We have to confront him." Just then, the door swung open, revealing a crowd of their neighbors gathered in a tense cluster. The murmur of voices quieted, eyes locking onto Malik and Rachel. There was a mixture of confusion and concern, a swirl of emotions threatening to boil over. "Malik!" An elderly man called out. "Is it true? What they're saying about you and your group?" Malik took a deep breath, feeling the collective weight of the community's trust resting squarely on his shoulders. "It's not true. We're here for each other. What Greg wants is to divide us. He's afraid of our unity." He saw a woman in the back shake her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "But he has a lot of influence, people believe him. That's why we need to act." Malik replied, his voice rising in fervor. "We can't let doubt seep into our hearts. We have to share our stories, our truths, and show what this community really stands for." Lena stepped forward, her presence grounding Malik as she spoke. "Let us organize a meeting tomorrow. Share our experiences, the ways we've supported one another. We need to remind everyone the strength we draw from one another." Nods of agreement rippled around the group, and Malik felt hope sparking back into life. The fear didn't dissipate entirely, but it morphed into a shared determination. They were in this together, and despite Greg's machinations, they could push through, but just as the discussions began to flourish, a booming voice broke through. Greg stood at the far end of the garage, arms crossed and a smirk on his face. "Oh, how touching. The little community that feels entitled to defend its innocence." Malik's heart sank at the sight of him, but he stood firm. "We're not afraid of you, Greg. You can twist our words, but we know who we are." Greg chuckled, striding closer. "You think unity can shield you? This town has heard my side. They're ready for change. And you've all been blind to it." Malik saw the unease in the crowd as Greg's words hung heavy in the air. Doubts began to creep back in, like shadows closing in on the light of their unity. "I want to let you control this community," Malik shouted, his voice desperate to carry through the whispering doubts. "We're stronger together, and we will not back down." Lena grabbed his arm, gripping it tightly. "Let us go. We need to gather our allies. We need people who believe in our shared vision." Malik nodded, feeling the fire reignite, but the battle had only just begun. As they headed back into the sunlight, a chilling realization washed over him. What if Greg had already begun to sway those who once stood with them? They couldn't rise without everyone believing in their cause. What would it take to truly uncover the fears that lingered in the hearts of their neighbors? Malik and Lena stepped out of the garage, the sunlight hitting their faces like a cold splash of water. Around them, their neighbors slowly dispersed, doubt still etched in the lines of their brows. In that lingering silence, Malik felt a weight settle upon his chest, a strange combination of determination and dread. "Where do we start?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her usual spark seemed dimmed, reflecting the uncertainty that hung in the air. Malik glanced at the scattering of friends retreating toward their homes. "We need to reach those who matter, the ones who believe in us. We can't let Greg's influence spread any further. We'll hold that meeting and make it clear that we're not going anywhere." Lena nodded, but her worry was still there. "We have to be careful. If we just rush in, we might push them further away." "Let us meet tonight," Malik suggested, trying to fill the cracks of doubt with a plan. "If we can gather everyone and share our stories, our truth, we might stand a chance." They agreed to meet at Malik's house. As they walked back, he couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching them, judging them. He noticed Mrs. Hall, their elderly neighbor, standing by her fence, her hand resting on her hip. When she caught Malik's eye, she quickly averted her gaze. "See?" Lena said quietly. "Even Mrs. Hall is unsure. How can we turn that around?" As they approached Malik's home, the heaviness of that moment shifted to a flicker of hope. They spent the afternoon writing down points they wanted to share, recalling how they supported each other through hard times, the late-night talks and the laughter shared over simple meals. It reinforced what they believed in. That evening, as neighbors filtered into his living room, Malik felt a swell of anticipation and fear. Some faces were familiar, but others looked hesitant. He noticed a couple of their friends exchanged whispers and glances, an underlying tension framing their expressions. "Thank you all for coming," Malik began, his voice ringing out over the murmurs. "I know things have been said about us, things that hurt." He paused, pulling in a deep breath to steady the tremble in his voice. "But what they say is not who we are. We're more than rumors or misfits. We are a community." Just then, Greg sauntered through the open door, a sly grin plastered across his face. "Thought you'd have an exclusive club without me? How quaint." His presence sent a ripple of tension through the room, and Malik's heart dropped. "We need to keep this peaceful," Lena urged, pulling Malik aside. She seemed to sense his rising anger. "Let us stay focused on our message." But Greg wasn't going to let that happen. "Can you really trust the honesty from them?" He sneered, gesturing at the gathered faces. "You're not just hearing their stories, you're hearing their excuses." Malik clenched his fists, fighting the urge to confront him directly. "We're here to share real experiences, Greg. Not to engage in petty insults." Lena leaned close, her voice urgent. "Look around. We need to show them who we really are. If we react with anger, we'll only give Greg the power he wants." Greg crossed his arms, pretending to be amused, but Malik could see the flicker of something else beneath his bravado fear. Maybe he'd just pushed too hard. As the discussion began to unfold, stories flowed, hopes resurrected, and laughter bubbled up. One by one, their neighbors started to share. The atmosphere began to shift. Malik's heart lightened with each revelation, seeing the walls separating them gradually lower. Just as they were starting to find common ground, Greg's laughter cut through the camaraderie like ice. "You really think this changes anything? Their stories are just distractions. Soon enough, the truth will come out." The room fell silent as eyes turned to Malik. He could feel the weight of their doubt rising again, threatening to crush the fragile alliance they were building. How do we push back against him? He thought, a heavy weight pressing on him as they all waited for an answer. It was in that moment that Malik realized the fight wasn't just against Greg. It was also about making their own voices heard. How could they reclaim their narrative? And what unexpected ally might step forward to help them face Greg's relentless campaign? As the murmur of uncertainty rippled through the room, Malik felt his heartbeat quicken. He had to channel the fear that hung thickly in the air into something powerful, a call for unity and strength. Lena's hand gently squeezed his, grounding him amid the chaos. "Everyone," he began, voice steady despite his racing thoughts, "we've shared so much tonight. We're not just telling stories, we're building a foundation. Let us build this community on something real, on trust and love for each other." He scanned the room, feeling the weight of their gazes, desperation mingling with determination. He spotted Mrs. Hall, who had previously turned away, but her eyes were firmly set on him now, glistening with hope. "Greg might want to tear us apart, but we're not going to let him." There were murmurs of agreement. Malik caught sight of Rachel in the corner, her fists clenched in encouragement. That spark ignited something within him. "I have an idea," he continued, his excitement spilling into every word. "Instead of letting Greg dictate our narrative, let us turn the tables. Let us create a campaign that showcases our community's strength, put it out there for everyone to see. Stories of our triumphs, our neighbors helping one another through hard times. Let's make a community album and share it on social media. We'll show people what we're really about." Lena stepped beside him, her face brightening. "And we can host a community event. Make it a celebration. Emphasize love, strength, and togetherness. Show everyone we have each other's backs." "Right." Carlos chimed in. "Let us invite everyone. We can have food, music, games for the kids. It'll remind everyone what they're part of." Excitement buzzed through the crowd, the first signs of restored confidence flickering to life. The mood transformed from anxiety to anticipation, the shadows slowly lifting. One voice emerged from the back, a neighbor named Mark. "We need volunteers to help out. Count me in." Malik's heart soared, the energy in the room buzzing like electricity. He raised his hands in a sign of celebration. "Let us agree to do this, together. Through this event, we not only showcase our community spirit but remind everyone that we're stronger than the doubts Greg tries to cast. We'll show him." Cheers erupted, voices blending into a chorus of determination. In that moment, the door swung open abruptly, and Greg stepped in unannounced again, face twisted in disbelief. "Planning your little party, are we?" he said, casting a skeptical glance at the delighted crowd. "I advise you to think twice. You really believe this will change anything?" Malik stepped forward, resolve radiating from him. "People are more than whispers, Greg. This community has heart. We stand together." For a fleeting instant, Greg's bravado faltered. Then, shaking off his moment of surprise, he flashed a wicked grin. "Hey, if you want to embarrass yourselves, by all means. Just remember that the truth has a way of getting out." Undeterred, Malik drew courage from the crowd around him. "You can try to scare us, but it won't work. We won't let you control our narrative anymore. We'll show this community what it's made of. We'll rise together." "Yeah!" someone shouted, and the room erupted in applause and shouts of support. Seeing the first cracks in Greg's confidence was a win on its own. Malik realized just then that this wasn't just about the fight against Greg, it was about showing the community their own worth. As Greg's smirk waned and he shuffled away, the room flooded with renewed spirit. "Let us spread the word about the event. Everyone, we need your help. Let us gather tonight to finalize plans." Cheers rang out again as everyone scrambled into action. Malik and Lena exchanged a glance. It was as though a veil had lifted. This was the moment they had fought for, uniting as one against the lies. The next week flew by. The day of the community celebration basked in a clear blue sky. Malik stood in the park, watching neighbors mingle, families laughing, the sweet scent of food wafting through the air. Banners with "Stronger Together" hung high, vibrant colors echoing the heartbeat of the community he cherished. Malik smiled as he saw families who had once hesitated now stepping forward to share their stories on stage, each one echoing themes of perseverance and love. The laughter was infectious, and every child's excited squeal filled him with warmth. Then, during a moment of quiet reflection, Malik stepped back, taking it all in. Through their determination and belief in one another, they had created something beautiful. Just as he lost himself in the joyful noise, Lena approached, glimmering with pride and love. "You did it, Malik," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "You brought everyone together." "Not just me," he replied, glancing around the park at their family and friends. "This is a community. Today, we own our story." As they embraced, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd. Malik looked up just in time to see Mr. Lewis, the veteran whose old car he'd repaired, standing and applauding with tears streaming down his cheek. That moment felt like a turning point in Malik's life. No longer weighed down by Greg's lies or their fears, they had risen together, transforming their struggles into stories of hope. The sun began to set, casting a golden hue over everything, a fitting backdrop to the triumph unfolding right before them. Malik knew then, within the heart of their community, they had forged something immovable, a bond anchored in love that would carry them through whatever challenges lay ahead. As the festivities continued, Malik felt a wave of indescribable joy. This was not just a victory over Greg but an affirmation of who they were and could continue to be. The laughter, the stories, all bursting with resilience reminded him they would always find a way, together. And what they now understood, with unwavering clarity, was that the love they shared could conquer even the fiercest storm. So, don't wait one more second. If you believe in the power of community, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming inspiring stories. Leave a like right now to help us spread this message to more hearts. We want to hear your thoughts. Comment below with your feelings about this incredible journey. And please, share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Your support makes all the difference. Let us continue to grow this family together.